right, wanting to know what that top 10% looks like and maybe a couple things that you might need to know on a repeat for tomorrow or Monday to do better. And what's that realm going to look like that I need to get into for the top 10%? I think, again, that's the ultimate goal. What I want to pull up right now is Beyond the Whiteboard. They haven't reposted this preliminary or updated information since the 23rd, 25th. My initial thoughts for what, 120 something for guys to be in the top 10%, and then the girls would be something more in the 115 range. The weights, I said 215 for guys, 145 for girls. So let's look at Beyond the Whiteboard. There is something interesting, if I'm reading this right. It says they've taken the data of prescribed men and prescribed women, meaning they did the workout RX. Now, on the thruster, I'm not real sure if that means that only those that plug their score in RX are they looking at, because that is significant to know when you're talking about top 10%. If you put those numbers in, those scaled scores in, and I think it'll matter more on the Metcon than the thruster, that will start to lower the bar a little bit, right? So we're looking at just prescribed is what I'm reading on Beyond the Whiteboard. 1 rep max thruster. They had on by Saturday a top 10% was looking at around 232 pounds for guys and 143 for women. So it looked spot on for the ladies with that 145 guesstimation, but 232 seems really high. And of course, this is Saturday. I think people, when they start logging in, if they're really happy with their workout, they plug it in, they're done. I'm not repeating it. And I think some top scores get held on for sure. For whatever reason, that competition mode, I don't want people to know what I did just yet, because now they're just going to try to beat it. Quick math and rough math. It looked more like right now the men's scores were about, on the 1 rep max, about 223. So it looks like it's come down a little bit since then. If now I'm taking into consideration all the people that are signed up for the Open. The weightlifting for the ladies about 137 compared to the 143, and I think that number is going to continue to drop just a little bit. So on the Metcon side of things, and their preliminary information on Saturday, top 10% was a 141 score for men and 128. So I think I was fairly right with the fact that I thought women's scores would be a little bit lower here, just a couple factors, and men's would be just a tad bit higher. And it seems to be, at least with the prelim, prescribed men and prescribed women, and not considering the scaled scores, which I get why they're putting that data in, but when you're talking top 10%, are they utilizing that in their percentiles? So I gathered a men's score right now roughly around 139, so just a tad bit lower than what they had on Saturday. And the women's, they had 128, and I have them at 120. If I'm still living with my projections, or at least reflecting on them, that 120 to 125 for guys, I do think that number goes up now. I really think top 10% is going to be getting a few burpees into the 30. For ladies, obviously, if you can crush it into that 30, more power to you. Getting through the 25 burpee pull-ups and a couple laps in, and I felt like that might be cracking the code. The 139 would be plugging you, that's about 14 reps into the 30. A couple things that I took away from this, and it might help your repeat for Monday, is, man, it's very minimal things that you have to change on a 15-minute workout, but it has to be consistent for that 15 minutes. Yeah, Marissa Flowers, it says she's third. So it does look like a girl came in at 176. And if that 186 is real, that's crazy too. But I took her, she had a video posted at 175. And the numbers that I drew from her workout, she was rolling on average about 4.2 seconds per burpee rep. There was even a moment in the 15s. It's like she warmed up and was at about 3.9 seconds per. Her runs seem to be fairly consistent too, but that's where some drop off was early on. 6.2 seconds per 50 or per lap, down and back, 6.2 seconds. And if you watch her video, you can see she's turning around these things like this is a true all-out shuttle run almost. Then she finally, by the fourth, goes to 7, which doesn't sound like a lot, but a half second over 10 reps, we start to play with our potential number at the end, right? Then she gets to 7.4 on the 5th run and 7.5 on the 6th run. What I then calculated was somebody around 120 reps, okay? And that was roughly more about 6 seconds per burpee pull-up, okay? 2 seconds slower, and about 9 seconds per 50 foot, which gives you about 3 to 4. Maybe if you can speed that up, but technically at the very end, kind of give it that finish line mentality, 3, 4, maybe 5 laps, which would give you 120, 121. Okay. And that's in the 5th run. If you were to keep your burpee pull-ups the same at 6 seconds per rep, which is significantly slower than obviously the top score in the world, but 2 seconds, we're talking about 6 seconds per burpee pull-up, which equates to every 30 seconds, 5 reps. If you go for the minute, now you're 10 per minute, right? You take that 9 seconds per 50 and you change it over to 8 seconds per 50 foot. And tested, saw athletes do it, looked at their numbers, seems to be a very manageable pace. Again, top scores are more in the 6 to 7 seconds. But if you drop it from 9 to 8 seconds, you go from a minute and a half to your 10 runs down to a minute 20 every time. So if you're getting into the 4th and the 5th round, you're talking about 40 or 50 seconds there towards the end that you could add up, and you're not having to change a whole lot. It's changing the consistency that you need to utilize the clock to your advantage. You're trying to shoot for the top 10%, which is roughly around 139. We have to amp that up just a slight bit, okay? 5.5 seconds per burpee pull up, which would be roughly around, let me do quick math, 25, 28 seconds or so per 5. Okay, so now you're finishing 10 at about 56 seconds. On the run, if you get to that 8 seconds or so, you need to utilize the clock. So we need to do the numbers, we need to have it down, and also maybe have our coach in the vicinity telling us, are we on track or not for this repeat? And this is a 2-piecer too, right? This is a big thing to think about. Like, okay, if I push outside that comfort zone a little bit more, I stay a little steadier on this pace. If you were someone that got, say, the 10 laps on the after the 25 burpee pull-ups, so that ends your score at 125, and you're thinking you need to crack into the 135 for top 10%, well, what do you need to do for 10 more burpees? And at this case, we're saying it's about a minute, maybe 50 something second. I think it's a second here off of your run, or half a second off your run, and a half second or a second or two off of your per 5 burpees. But write this stuff down, okay? Write this stuff down in front of you so you know if you're on track or not. The other thing is, like I said, this 2-piecer with the lift is 10 reps, and really, really trying to punish yourself there, if that's how it feels, worth it. And if, say, you had a 220-pound lift, which may get you into the top 10% or right around there, let's call it 225, right? 223 is kind of where it's sitting at right now, and 225 is where you're at. So you're in the top 10%. Go and make the lift, and you fail. You get to 205, right? You made this big jump. You only have so much time. You never really caught your heart rate back down. And we've got to figure. I think if you're repeating it, you're wanting to improve both. But if you lose one or you gain one, that's probably worth getting 5 to 10 pounds more on the barbell. On the other side of the coin, if you went out and got 10, 15 more reps on the Metcon, but you lost 2 to 5 pounds on the lift, definitely think that's worth it as well. Shaving a second here and there with this amount of volume is worth it and should be able to give you the score that you're looking for. Technique-wise, make sure you know where your feet go every time under the bar so you don't have to find it while you're jumping. We had some people really utilize the reverse grip or the chin-up grip today and yesterday. There's reason to flip-flop that throughout the workout if you feel like forearms or whatever reason you're just not pulling right on that pull-up. I think kipping is also worth it in some cases to get yourself back on track. However, that's a lot slower. And of course, you may be trying to increase your score from 100. And now don't change anything on the burpee pull-up and just try to keep your run a little more consistent. There's just a lot of little elements there. Hopefully this helps you out at all, okay, and has some perspective on what that top 10% is going to look like. Maybe how to get there by just shaving small seconds here and there will add up to give you those extra 5 reps, maybe get through the runs, and then tight on that barbell, and shooting to crack the code around 220. I still think about 215 for guys and about 135 to 140 for girls. So good luck out there, guys. Justin Ellis with CrossFit Willis, and I hope this helps you.